What's up guys, welcome back to your JavaScript series brought to you by Code2Create. In case you just skipped the first episode and bumped into this one, I experiment on OnClick, your instructor. Alright, so in this episode 21, we are going to be looking at event handlers, that's JavaScript event handlers. Here you will see how JavaScript can act on any HTML page and make it interactive. The user will be able to interact with the page and make it to do same things, and this is where the fun actually begins, because this is one of the basic concepts behind JavaScript language. You see, in real life, I'm talking about real life now, I'm not talking about JavaScript now. In real life, what is an event? Okay, you know, an event is an occurrence, something that happens, like anything that have an end result or an outcome. You attend a wedding ceremony, definitely you know there's gonna be an outcome. You understand? You will eat, people will dance, two cuties will get married and probably become a couple. And if you are the type that eats and drink like hell, you will find yourself exhausted at the end of the day. That's an event for you. You know, something have already happened. You ate and you attended and something happened. And that's not quite different from programming as a whole. In the web tech world, an event can be something the web browser does or something a user does. And when an event takes place, something must happen. In terms of JavaScript, you have to click a button before the button responds to your click action. If you click a button, the button executes a block of code. It executes some code. Now, this code will not take an effect if you don't click a button. So, because of this, I have a very special gift for you guys. I'm going to open it right now. So check this out. You know, this is Gerebaro calculator. Oh, cool. Now this calculator is one of the earliest tutorial I've done. You can see the link to this tutorial below the video in the description box. You can go down and watch it and also learn how to build your own basic calculator. Now this calculator is an event driven calculator. Like, you have to click a button before something happens. For example, if I want to multiply 7 times 7, once I click 7, you see that 7 comes up. This 7 is responding to an event, you understand? And once I click multiply to also respond, you understand? I click on 7 again, okay, and I multiply them, and you see, equal to what? 49. Now, this 49 has executed the block of code. And what's that block of code? 7 times 7, which will give you 49. Now you see, this is an OnClick event handler. Now the event in JavaScript can only be possible with the help of event handlers. Like when you click a button, when you move a mouse on a button, when you do a lot of things. Like you will say that when we take an example. So let's quickly go into coding and see what we can build today. Alright, we have lots of event handlers in JavaScript, but I'll look at the basic ones, the most common ones, and you'll see how to use them also. And for the sake of this tutorial, I've introduced a new style sheet. I'm talking about CSS here, a CSS file. You will see the link to download this CSS file below the video in the description box, or you can equally copy it. Anyhow, you see the link to this CSS file in the description box. That's why you need to have a basic knowledge of CSS and HTML before you go into JavaScript. So you can just copy it from there, from the description box, and paste it here, and you can name it as style.css, or you can see it, the link, you can just click on the link and download it. Okay, you can include it to your workspace, which is your folder, because I'm very tired of the white background I've always been seeing. So for the sake of this tutorial, we'll be using this CSS file. So what we need to do now is to come here and link this CSS file to our HTML web page. So just type link. The source, we just name it as style.css, since the name is style.css. So once you save this now, and we come back to our browser, I'm talking about this, and we refresh, you see we have a nice color here. Alright, so let's go back. Okay, alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing is to build our button. So we have a button that will click and it will respond to an event, something like that. So go ahead and type this button tag, and inside this button, and then this button click. And once we save this now and come back and refresh, you have a button click. Now don't be carried away or don't be worried away by this effect where I hover on this thing and you see a light green color. This is because of the CSS we've embedded inside our HTML already. I told you can go there and copy it, or you download it and move it to your workspace so that you can also have this effect. So whatever I use now, I've already defined the button. This is the button on the output. I've already styled them. Even the hover, that's green color there, you see. just 33 lines of code, you understand? So we can just go there and copy it and paste it, and you also have the same effect. Alright, so let's go back, and this is what we're having right now. Okay, now for us to introduce an event handler, what we have to do, we are going to be dealing with the first event handler, and the first event handler we're going to be dealing with, which is the most common one, is the OnClick event handler, or the OnClick HTML event attribute. I'll just type OnClick, understand, and repeat name. Okay, so on clicking this button, which is called click, we want to execute what? We want to execute this function, and this function is a JavaScript function. So one good thing about the event handlers is that it allows us to execute JavaScript code directly from our HTML file. You understand? So just type OnClick, and okay, this is the JavaScript function, which we have not defined yet, but we are going to do it. So this is it. Now the next thing I want to do is to have a div tag, and this div is going to carry an ID, and the ID's name is going to be display. So the ID's name is display, which we are going to make reference to from our main.js file very soon. This is it. So just save this now, and we go back to our JS file. I'm talking about our JavaScript file. Okay, now in our JavaScript file, we have a function speed name, you understand, and that's the function you're seeing here, speed name. So we are going to modify this function now to execute a block of code whenever we click this click button here. So alright, now here what we need to do is to just, okay, first of all, I'll declare a variable, and the variable I'll name it as say it, and this variable is going to get the ID. So the ID is going to get this display. You understand? This variable is going to hold this ID display, which we've already given as an attribute here already, display. You understand? So we'll now come down here, and what we do, we'll say it dot inner HTML. So we want to split something inside this ID, which is located down here. You understand? We're going to be splitting something out there. So what we're going to be splitting out there is something like, okay, name is equal to Nelson Mandela, a line break, which is go to the next line, then we have country is equal to South Africa, and another line break, then age is equal to 95. So this is just a clear data of Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela is from South Africa, and it was 95 before he died. So you can refresh with the Ctrl R. So once we click on this, you have name Nelson Mandela, country South Africa, and age 95. Cool stuff. You see, this is the OnClick event. Let's do it again. Click. You see, we have this. All right, let's go back, and you have another one like, okay, I can just copy this. So we have the mouse leave, and I'll just come here and title this as mouse leaving. Understand? So once we save this and we come back here and refresh, guess what's going to happen? Once I hover on this mouse, nothing happens. But while I'm leaving this button, guess what happens? You see, name Nelson Mandela, country South Africa, age 95. Let's refresh it again and try it yourself. Once you hover on this mouse, nothing happens. But while you are leaving, something happens. It is then that to execute this function. So we have many of them, but I'll just go through the few ones that are very popular, and you'll be able to understand them. You can try them yourself. So we have another one like on key down, and this one is once you press any key on the keyboard. Understand? So let's save this and come back, Ctrl R, refresh. So once I click on this, nothing happens. But try to click a key or a button on your keyboard, and guess what happens? Or I just press the K on my keyboard, and you see I'm having name Nelson Mandela, country South Africa, and age 95. So you see that event handlers are very, very sweet. We also have another one like something like, okay, let me do this. On mouse over, now this one to execute this function here, this JavaScript function, once you hover on the button. So once we come back here and refresh, we have a new button, and that button is called hover. So once I hover on this, you see something happens. Nelson Mandela, country South Africa, age 95. Now there's one sweet one I want to introduce now, and that one is like kind of different shape entirely. That is when you try to change a value in the field directly from your HTML, something should happen. Understand? So it's very hard to explain. I'll just demonstrate and you see what I'm talking about. So just go down here. First of all, I'll have a paragraph, and I'll say enter name, and okay, I'll come down here and have another paragraph. Then down here now I can just have something like the input field. So just go ahead and type this input tag and something like that. Then our type, we're going to name it as number, then ID, we'll give it an ID of number. Then you will now introduce this onChange. So this one works with the input field, you understand? For example, let me save this and you'll see what I'm talking about. Once we refresh this, you see we have enter name and there's an input field. What we're trying to realize, once we type something, the value should change. It will execute a block of code, like we should type 4, then find the square root of 4. So let's demonstrate and you see what I'm talking about. So what you need to do now is you introduce the onChange keyword. So you say onChange, that's on changing any value in the input field, something should happen. So on changing it, it would execute the function change, which we are going to define very soon. Oh, sorry, make sure it's in capital letter. So let's save this and go to our main.js file. It's been long we left this young man. So what we'll do now is to build a function for the change. So I have the name change. Sorry. Okay, now here what I'm going to do is to declare a variable, and the variable I'm going to call it num, and we are going to document.get an ID, and the ID we're going to get is the ID of this input field here. So I'll just copy this and we'll go back and say document dot get element by ID, and here I'm gonna paste this here. And what we want to get the value. So whenever you want to get a value from an input field, once you type the ID's name, the ID of the input field, you type dot value. You understand? Anything that the user types on that input field, we should get it and we should give it to this variable num. And now we're going to do something, document.get element by ID also, and the ID we want to get is the display ID, because this is a new function. I know JavaScript respect function scope, and get this one to do .inner HTML. We'll set it to be equal to. So what have we done here? Let me quickly explain. Now we declared a variable called num and we gave the ID of the input field to the num. We also got the element ID, which is this ID here, display, because that's what we want to display our result. So we got it and we say inner HTML. What should be displayed there should be square is equal to the value gotten here multiplied by itself. That's we want to get a square. Now it's the same thing as 4 raised to the power of 2, which is equal to 4 times 4, which will give you 16, something like that. So we say num multiplied by num, so the number should multiply itself. Once we save this now and we come back here and refresh, guess what's going to happen? I can come here and type 4. Once I type 4, tap the enter button on your keyboard, or you can equally click anywhere on the screen. What do you have? Square is equal to 16. So let's look for the square of something like 5. Once we click here, you see square equals to 25. And you can go ahead and change it and click outside. You see you have the value. You can click outside. It will be changing because you attributed the function to the onChange keyword. So as you are changing the input field there, it will be responding to your event. You understand? Something like that. So this is just a few basic concept of the event handlers in JavaScript. We have the click event, the mouse leaving, like the press key, the hover, and the rest. So you see, now if you are using Sublime Text Editor, I want to quickly show you how to use it to get other event handlers. For example, if you are typing button like this, as you type on, you should get numerous and tons of event handlers. You see, right now you say attributes because we are in the HTML file, so they are called event attributes. It's very sweet. Like you can use it to build event-driven web application, like the calculator you are seeing here. If you are so fascinated by this, or this is very awesome, you can click on the link to the description box tutorial. You can click on it and you get to learn how to build a basic calculator like this. It's still the same thing. I believe by now you should be able to build your own calculator, because we are in the episode 21 and we're almost covering everything in JavaScript. Okay, so let me quickly show you how to use the unload keyword, which is another important concept. I think I should do that. Okay, we just go to the body tag and you can just say, okay, unload. You should do this alert. You can just say, okay, let me use the single apostrophe. Okay, you can just say, how are you doing, Debbie? Okay, make sure this is in capital letter. It should be capital letter. So once we save this down and we refresh, what do we have? How are you doing, Debbie? This is the unload event attributes. And we say unloading this body, like unloading this HTML file, it should execute alert, how are you doing, Debbie? So I think we should put this tutorial to an end, and I'm very sorry I covered a lot in this tutorial. It's worth it because this is event handlers and it's very sweet. Like if you start using them to do different things, you understand what I'm talking about, and you are good to go. So thank you guys for watching this tutorial. If you've really learned something from this video, you can click on that like button below, and please make sure you subscribe, because in our next tutorial we'll be looking at number method and strings method.